Hey, welcome back to WDRC in Santo Domingo, another episode of Conversation at Comados.
That's right.
Today we're in Comado in La Esperilla, and as I said, Comados are a reflection of the neighborhood. And as you can see, this Comado, they're playing music, but it's nice sound. I mean, it's not too loud,
Right.
nice suave music. And I'm with Nick today. So we're gonna talk about, a little bit about his neighborhood and also about, just living here. So thank you for your time, Nick.
Absolutely, my man.
All right. So, what do you you really like about living in this country?
I guess just as a black man, the freedom I feel, and just it was always one of my goals to move out of the country, and I took an opportunity to do it, and I haven't looked back since. So I've been having a pretty good experience.
Yeah. And you've been living here for how long now?
Off and on, it'd be 11 years in July. Back and forth between the states. So yeah, man, it's changed a lot, and I think one of the best things is I feel much safer than I did, as opposed to when I moved here. They made a lot of progress with police work, and just a lot of it has to do with where you live, and people always ask you and me, if they feel safe here, and I tell them, I was like, you go anywhere you look for trouble, you're gonna find it. So if you're into drugs and gambling and messing around with the wrong women, it's just gonna get caught up eventually. You gotta be careful.
And that's one thing, I want to do with this
Right.
channel and these conversations, let people know, yes, it's safe here, but as any place, if you put
Right.
yourself in that environment, things can go wrong. And most of the times when you hear about stuff happen to people, they're in places they shouldn't be or doing things they shouldn't be, something they wouldn't do back in their home country. So when you come here, still keep your wits about you.
Absolutely.
Now, when you first came here, you didn't move to Santo Domingo initially, right? You
No,
lived in
no.
other...
Yeah, when I graduated, I had some friends who lived out near San Juan, and I just went to go visit. They had an extra room, so I just stuck around there for a bit. I never planned to stay here, but I enjoyed the country so much. I enjoyed the freedom and just how far my money went at the time. And I was just graduating, so I started applying for jobs and just came to fruition a couple months later.
Yeah. Now, you're residing in Santo Domingo now, here in Las
Right.
Esperilla. Great neighborhood. Make sure you check out the video I did with him we toured around the neighborhood of
Correct.
Las Esperilla. But one thing I always tell people, Santo Domingo's great, Santiago, other cities, but go out and see the rest of the island. And that's one thing I really want to talk to you about, because
Right.
I've been out in other cities and I've ran into this brother. It was like,
That's
oh,
right.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
And that's one thing you got to do. You got to get out. So talk about, some of the places you've been on
Absolutely.
the island.
I've been a bit of everywhere except for Sur Profundo, the southernmost part out there near Valle de las Águilas. But I've been to Puerto Plata, I've been to Luperón, which is probably as far north. It's northwest as you can go. Luperón is a boat town, very nice place. I ran into you at Bayaibe. We didn't really know each other much then.
Correct,
But, some nice resorts out there in Bayaibe. Punta Cana, Samaná, which is really nice. So I just try to go to the places that are not as tourist oriented as other people go to, where you can get virgin beaches, or you can drive across the coastline, along the coastline, and you really won't see anyone. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So definitely get out. One other thing that you normally don't see and I like to talk about is, Nick is like the new face of the expat. When you think of an expat, mostly you think of a retired person like me or semi-retired, on the other side, at 50. But Nick is a young brother, and tell us a little about, what is it like being a young person here, foreigner in this country?
Yeah, I mean, it becomes challenging sometime. I spent, the majority of my adult life here, which is kind of the difference between some of my older friends here who've been married and had kids, and now they're just kind of here enjoying their later years. It can be challenging at times, but this is a place where I don't think moving out of the country is for everybody in general.
Correct.
You really have to come here with an open mind, and my first couple of years working here and living here, I had a lot of expat friends, and a lot of them moved back home. And I was, talking to someone about it last night. every single one of them got married within the first year of returning to the States. Every single one of them. So it could be a good experience. You have to come here open-minded. You got to want to acclimate yourself. And I think once I got out of that bubble and I started learning Spanish or intentionally trying to learn Spanish, my experience, changed tenfold.
I always talk about that in every video. How has learning Spanish and understanding Spanish, especially Dominican Spanish,
Right.
helped you, moving and living here?
It's incredible, really. And I think as a foreigner, if you want to be respectful to the country that you're living in, you should adapt to their language, adapt to their culture. And, it's pure ignorance, in my opinion, living somewhere and not speaking the language. So that's something that was important to me. And I didn't really learn that until 2 years down the line, living out near La Romana. And, I made that decision and, people are more likely to talk to you. You're less likely to get haggled or someone hassle you. And you can get yourself out of some problems too. And, I don't know if we'll touch on the topic of dating, but, it's the general idea is that all Dominican women looking for a foreigner, but that's not necessarily always true. And a lot of women, will meet you and find out that you're American. And, if they don't know that you live here, they might not give you the time of day, or if you don't speak Spanish, they don't have the patience, or, so that's just not the right idea all the time. You got a lot of, decent women who, of course, want someone else who is involved in their culture and speak their language.
Correct. I'm glad you brought that up because I am going to do a group, try to get a few of us together because, I watch some YouTube channels and most of the guys are like married.
Right.
They met a Dominican back home or met them here and they're married, which is a different type of lifestyle than single men. So I'm going to do a series of single men living in the DR. So that's going to be, so stay tuned for that.
That's
But
right.
keeping it with the lighter side, being young and everything, going out, like I said, I'm a little older. I go out once in a while, not like you guys. you guys are hang.
Right.
And as people know about the DR, if you don't know, as they call it a vibe or whatever, this is a party city. People love to celebrate and hang out and enjoy life here, no matter what. You may have a ton of problems, but they're going to enjoy life here. And so talk a little bit about, nightlife
Right.
and hanging out, in Santo Domingo.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really a mix of everything. Depending on what you're looking for, there's places you can go out just to dance. You can go out, classic music. You want to go out and do bachata, salsa. There's places just for that. There's places that do a mix. You got clubs with a younger crowd, or older crowd. So, most people come here and, just like us, we found our spot. We get good service. We're loyal to it.
Correct.
So we continue to go back to it. I'm a creature of habit myself. I'm not the person to ask about new and upcoming places. I go back to the same places. I see the same faces, and I just feel comfortable that way. But the party goes on 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Depending if you know people, you can go out and do some after hours things, depending on what you're into. But yeah, I mean, it could range from cheap to expensive. I mean, you can go out to some clubs, get bottle service, depending on what you drink, maybe $100 with a mix. Some places you might catch a special. Sahara we go to sometimes, in Zona Universitaria. We get there before 11. You get a bottle of whiskey and maybe a hookah, 2 mixers, $50, $60. Split that with your friends and just have a good time.
Yeah, you can enjoy life. That's
Absolutely.
what a lot of Dominicans do, which I really like. I mean, when I first came here and I would go and I see a Dominicans, there'd be a group, but they'll get a bottle and then they'll get, some food, but it'd be like what they call a picadera, a mix.
Right.
Everybody shares off of that. It's not just one person over here buying their plate, this plate. They'll buy something that everybody shares. That's the thing I've learned about, Dominican culture is that they really have a sense
Absolutely.
of community. Everybody shares here. If you got something, even though that person may be poor, you may be rich, but they will share.
Right.
Everybody partakes here.
Yeah, and that's one of the beautiful things about living here, and something that I note when I go back to the States. I mean, you go anywhere here and someone will start a conversation with you. If you walk in someplace and someone's eating, they'll offer you something. And one of my favorite things that I hear from Dominicans is they always say, no one goes to bed hungry. So even if someone's living on the street or is facing a hardship, there's always some leftover rice. There's also always, some leftover food that someone will share with someone. And that's just one of the beautiful things about this culture is, someone will always share with you. You walk into the Colmado, someone's drinking a beer, they offer you a cup, they offer you a glass of whiskey. This country is really good about that.
Yeah, they're very good. For example, here's a Dominican right now. Would you agree Colmados is a great place to meet Dominicans and really understand, the regular Dominican culture?
Yeah, the Colmado, my personal opinion, is the best. It's the best if you wanna invest or if you want to buy something anytime, services, delivery, or whatever you want in the Colmado is more easy than another place. Depend the occasion. That's the point.
So real quick, Ronnie, I think one important thing to note is that, you meet Dominicans out on the street and majority of them speak a little bit of English. So
Especially here in Santo Domingo, yeah.
that's right. Richard, how many languages can you speak?
I understand English. I understand Germany. I understand France. And I understand Holland and Italia. So, why? Because many people asking why you want to learn different languages. Depend how do you feel in your life. If you in Dominican Republic, you're not professional, you don't have many opportunities. And you need to be professional or open different doors. And I'm a student right now, Chinese Mandarin Chinese. I'm a student.
That's impressive.
I'm speaking like Mandarin like 10% Mandarin.
Wow.
Outstanding.
That's the reason many Dominican people don't want to learn, don't want to open different opportunities in your life. Because if you learn, you have job, opportunity, different doors open. But if you can't do it, or you don't have very good education, you close your door.
That's right. I agree with you.
I agree. So we're going to wrap this up. And so, Nick, what parting words would you like to give the people who think about moving here or vacationing for a long period of time? What would you say to them?
Absolutely. I'd just say this country is what you make it. Just come here prepared, financially. And if you have the opportunity to work remote or you can move around for a certain part of time, I think it's just the most ideal situation. And I see people live here on $1,500 a month. I've seen people live on $1,000. I've seen people live on $2,000. So there's always a lot of questions in the groups on Facebook and in chats about how much people need to make to live here. And a lot of it is based on your lifestyle. Do you go out a lot? Do you like to go eat a lot? Are you drinking a lot? And most of your vices are probably just going to be what's expensive, just like in any other country. And just come here and adapt to the culture, embrace it. And we all actively choose to live here. So, any place you go to has its faults. But ideally, it's not very respectful to come here and criticize the Dominican people because, they've accepted us and, we actively choose to live here. So the rest is on us.
Yes, always remember, you are a guest. And so keep that in mind and be respectful. Once again, thank you for watching another episode of Colmado Conversations. Hopefully you learned something and you pass it on. So when you come here or if you live in here, keep these things in mind. And remember to like and subscribe to
WDRC Santo Domingo.
Ya Tu Sabe.